Welcome to Treehouse Update, February 28th, 2023. We're talking about the Seneca Treehouse Project and Treehouse Trade School. We're here with Alex Pellet and live Instagram audience, and we're going to be joined here shortly by Ben Cinderman, who is a team member that we've been onboarding or trying to onboard for quite some time. So the things we're going to talk about, Seneca Treehouse Project and how you can come and visit that, what that is exactly, and then what's come out of the Seneca Treehouse Project is Treehouse Trade School, hands-on applied learning opportunities for sustainable development. And I've been doing some classes here with 10X Group, Grant Cardone and his team, and doing some business development classes. In fact, most of the classes that I've taken over the years are either permaculture or business development classes. The construction trades and the trades have been part of my DNA for multiple generations. And so I grew up with this very fortunate opportunity to learn trade skills from my parents and my grandparents. And my grandparents were farmers. My dad was a builder. My other grandfather was a builder. Education has been in our family for a long time. So, I think a lot of people don't get that opportunity to learn how to build and how to grow their own food. And that is something that is so needed in the world, not just for a standpoint of fulfilling jobs and keeping people employed, but also from a standpoint of self-worth. And there's a lot of people hurting in the world, and when they come out and plant a plant or build something, it's extremely satisfying. It adds a lot of self-worth to the people that we've worked with over the years. So we're in this place right now of scaling that and expanding upon that. And one of the challenges is making that profitable, making it profitable enough to be able to grow. And as we earn more profit, we can invest that back into the business. We can continue growing and developing. Now, we've been doing that over the years with Seneca Treehouse Project. So let me just talk a minute about that. The Seneca Treehouse Project started out as an intentional community. Now it is a permaculture demonstration site and Airbnb. It's a vacation rental by owner, essentially. So I don't have it listed on VRBO. That's one thing we could do. Is listed on VRBO and continue to create more posts too. So I'm going to make a list to do that. I've been listing it on Airbnb, and right now you can Ahuvia. Courting, yeah, I think I know who that is. What's up? Been listing the Seneca Treehouse Project on Airbnb, and it's done pretty well. But last year we had an occupancy of 30%. So I'd like to increase that occupancy and continue finishing this project. So I'm in a geodesic dome right now. Pretty sweet structure. It's going to be probably one of the most popular structures available. But right now it's undone and it's my home. So we'll be finishing this whole place. We'll have a geodesic dome. We'll have an earth dome. We'll have a yurt. We'll have a tree house, a small house like a studio apartment, and then a big house. All of that's on a permaculture learning center and homestead. So again, our statement here, I think I read this at the beginning. We help homesteaders. I just wrote this today. We help homesteaders who struggle with the skill sets required to execute their dreams. And now there's so much to it. It's really hard for me just to narrow it down to that one small thing. But one of the first things that I invite people to do is come book a stay with us at the Seneca Treehouse Project, where they can see it in action. They can stay in the structure, they can taste the food, they can walk the site, they can see some options of not only how we produce food and sustainable or more sustainable housing, but also how how they can learn, how they can earn income doing some of these things, and then how they can learn how to do the skill sets. And that's where we kind of send them over to Treehouse Trade School. Now, with Treehouse Trade School in the past, in the present, I've been doing hands-on training with a small group of people. Last week, this is recorded on our Treehouse Trade School YouTube. Last week, we talked about the application process. It looks crazy because it is. So we've created an application process that I used to use in the past, and re-implementing that. And then we just had someone that came in that I didn't run through the application process, and I just didn't know him well enough to know what to say or what not to say. And I ended up saying some things that just sharing myself like an open book, like I always do. I said some things that were upsetting to him. It was too much for him. He kind of had an anxiety attack and was like, whoa, it was heavy. And had I run him through the application process, he still would have come here, but because he's an awesome guy. But I would have known, the situation's a little more delicate. And so vetting our students that come in is key, but there's only so much that we can do one-on-one. And as I'm getting more and more refined as I grow older, I'm charging more, and I want to make the education accessible to people at a lower cost, because the reality is the people that need the trade education the most can't afford to pay me $125 an hour to teach them one-on-one. They can't afford $1,000, $2,000 class. They can maybe afford a smaller class, and a large part of our target audience are people who are females who would probably not feel comfortable going and getting a job in a trade, in any kind of trade, and might not be safe. Because the reality is the majority of people in the trade are dudes that are just talking about dude stuff. And it's like, I have to shut some things down sometimes, just be like, whoa, turn it off, just, put it on pause or whatever. So I want to make the trades and the education within that accessible to people that wouldn't normally have it. And I want to make it also accessible to people who don't have a lot of money. And a big part of the trade school, and I'm trying to roll this in here too, is, and this is a big ball of dough here, but trying to roll this all together, is the idea that people can work trade for training, which is what we've been doing in the past. Work trade for training so that they can come and learn a skill and then earn the income, pay for the class with that skill. So say they just come and learn how to lift with, use their body to lift properly, which a lot of people don't know how to do, which is why so many people have back injuries. So learning how to lift properly, that's like a 20-minute workshop, and then they can move material, and then they can learn how to read a tape measure and use a saw. Then they can cut material. Those are just examples. There's so many things that are possible. Ben, what's up? Ben just joined us here on Zoom. If you're just joining us, it is a Treehouse update. We are recording this call on Zoom. I think in the future, I'll invite everyone to join this Zoom call, and also have a live video too, because ultimately what I'd like to do, Pete, is that Pete? Yeah, man, what's going on? Pete just joined on Instagram. What I'd like to do is create this Zoom call as a stage to update and then get feedback. part of the challenge I've had over the years is trying to roll everything into one. This 10X coaching is helping to narrow it down. So what was I talking about? Talking about the trades, being able to make learning accessible to people who don't have a lot of money. So where I'm at right now is creating a series of online classes. I have one available, and I have several others that are in the works. But a series of online classes that is a very clear curriculum to essentially make learning the trades a magic formula. A lot of people say, learn how to build a house, there's no magic formula. Well, that's what we want to create, is a curriculum that through the intake that I just talked about a minute ago, through this intake process, we would have an email, we'd give them a free resource, we'd give them access to buying the online classes. And if they want to work with us in person, then we would go to the application process, which is like blown up into a whole bunch of stuff. And in all of that stuff, that's psych assessment, personality assessment, skills assessment, IQ test, references, getting to know how the relationship is with their parents, which is extremely important. And then from there, we can have a better idea of where to send them back to this online classes. Because ultimately, what we don't want to do is work with people that are not a good fit. It's a waste of their time, it's a waste of our time. But we do want to be able to have materials for those people, or at least partners for those people, so that, if someone is not a good fit and maybe needs some, mental help, which is a huge issue, I'm not equipped to help people with that. But I would like to have the partners lined up to where we can say, we need to send you here. And they're like, I can't afford it. We say, well, we have, go over here, help them get that. There are a couple of people in my experience of the Treehouse that we have lost to depression. And I want to do whatever we can to prevent that from happening again. So while I'm not equipped to do that, I am equipped to help people learn the trades and develop their homesteads. So that's where my focus is. But I just don't want to I don't want to close the door on people, essentially. And it doesn't make, somebody might say, well, you need to start a nonprofit. Well, I want to focus on the for-profit. I want to focus on developing income-producing businesses that are good for people and the planet. So hopefully our Treehouse Trade School students, as we call them, Tree Scouts, as Tree Scouts go through this magic formula of a curriculum that we develop and get the hands-on learning opportunities with us after doing that magic formula as prerequisite, they will come out ready to also develop a business that's good for people and the planet and provide for themselves and their family, and then hopefully teach other people. The student becomes the legacy for the next generation to engage. The last line of the poem. So my biggest pain point right now is keeping up with financing. I've started paying for this coaching program and going through the I'm single parent. I'm like hustling when I don't have my kids, and I'm trying to be as present with my kids as possible when I do have them. So and I'm also trying to involve them in some stuff too. So for instance, with the kids, I want to create a book called The Adventures of Miles and Abel. It's with them. It's educational, focused on just learning about the world, learning tools. We'll be doing this summer. We're going to do a rivers to ocean tour. We're going to actually start at the ocean and go backwards and trace the water backwards up into the mountains and find a spring. And then take pictures of them and their adventure and put that into a storyline, into a book. And then also, we'll be doing some children's trades classes, like introduction to mechanical tools for kids. We might do some gardening stuff for kids. Abel is so excited about, he's got a kitchen outside called Abel's Mud. And he's like making little dishes that are actually edible. Some of them are just mud, but one of them was pretty dang good. He went and picked some brown jelly fungus, which I think, don't hold me to this, but I think the scientific name was Excidia. I think it was Excidia. And somebody can look that up if you're for brown jelly fungus. And I looked it up and we read about it, and I said the scientific name, and then he comes in the next day and he's like, Dad, he's like, I made something for you, and it's some bell peppers and Excidia and rosemary and some honey. And I was like, what is Excidia? I completely forgotten the scientific name. And he was like, and I don't even know if I'm getting it right now. And he's like, Excidia? And I was like, what are you talking about? I completely forgot, but he remembers the scientific name. And it was good. It was jelly fungus on top of some peppers with some rosemary, I think a little bit of salt, and some honey. And it was like, okay, we could actually sell this. So he's also, he tries to go sell whatever he finds. He like he'll make a note, he'll make an invitation and go give it to the neighbors. And then, actually, usually get money from the neighbors. He's made like $60 last year from selling produce out of the garden. And so I want to involve the kids into all this as well, by nature of Scott Bunn being wide open as I am. I've got to get my kids involved, and it's quality time, and it's still, still completing the purpose. So, recap, this is going longer than 15 minutes. Actually, no, we're close. We're pretty close to 15 minutes, but we're getting a little tight here. So we help homesteaders who struggle with the skill sets required to execute their dream. I think targeting, instead of just any tradespeople, targeting tradespeople who really want to learn homesteading. Like people who want to learn the trades to do homesteading, narrowing down our target audience, and then going after those people is probably a good move. And then getting our Airbnb up, because if we get our Airbnb up, one, we are earning more income, and two, if we can be reaching the people through Airbnb and VRBR that want to learn about homesteading and bring them here, then it's actually, we're getting paid to get more customers for Treehouse Trade School. So we're getting paid when they come here to visit. They're probably going to buy a book or some furniture while they're here, or they're probably going to buy some online classes. And again, the online classes are all prerequisite for working with us hands-on training. Essentially what that does is makes it cheaper and more accessible for people to learn, rather than having me train them one-on-one with all the details. They can go through the classes at a lower cost. And then by the time they get to work with us, they're already on board. They already know as much as they can. All right, I'm done talking. I'm open for questions, comments, concerns, ideas. What you got? Anybody?
Scott.
You got your hair down today. I like it.
Just got out of the shower.
Nice. Yeah, man. Was that how was that? Was that pretty clear? Was that too
Yeah,
broad?
absolutely. I think it got the message across for sure.
Awesome. You have anything to add before I end the video in the recording? Okay.
At this time, no.
All right. Well, this concludes our Treehouse update for February 28th of 2023. Come around for the next one. I do believe we're going to make this video available, or we're definitely going to make the video available on Treehouse Trade School YouTube. Oh, and then we'll also make the live event, the Zoom event link available for anybody to join in the future. But you can join through Instagram live on the Seneca Treehouse. And what I'd like everybody to do is go follow Treehouse Trade School on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, because that's putting the majority of the educational content out on that platform, Treehouse Trade School platform. We're actually going to adopt this logo for Treehouse Trade School. This is a student right here that also looks like a tree, but the student is growing branches and flowering and producing seeds. So the student becomes a legacy for the next generation to engage. And so you'll see this logo. And then Seneca Treehouse, I'm just going to be focusing this place on event center, visitation, place to come visit in the future. And I will eventually not live here in the future. This will just be for Airbnb, and maybe a site manager will live on site. So if you want to come stay here, this is might be the last year to do it while I'm still living here. This might also be the last year to come stay in the main house that has the tree house while the tree is still alive. We're going to have to take the branches down on that tree house and make a foundation under it within the next couple of years. So this may be the last time to come do that. If you know anyone who wants to learn about homesteading or homestead development, please send them our way. We really want to help people and reach a broader audience, help people establish their dreams and the skill sets to do so. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next Tuesday.